everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I don't know. Maybe you're doing your work at night. But I just wanted to say hello and that I miss y'all, and I hope that you are doing well and you're staying safe and you are staying out of trouble. Some of you. But I first want to say that I'm really excited about giving you some things that you can do for my class instead of random things online. Even though I did really like the activities that were on the Kamal Continues page, but I'm really excited for us to start doing things together again. So that being said, we need to review just a little bit about Reconstruction. I know that was a while ago and we took a test over that, and so we're done with it. But we weren't too far into our new unit yet, and so I kind of want us to review a little bit Reconstruction before we move on to new things. So this week is going to be a review, and then next week hopefully we'll start with some new stuff. So here we go. So Juneteenth, we said, was Emancipation Day in Texas. Remember, emancipation is the act of giving someone freedom. Okay, so remember, Juneteenth, only in Texas. Okay, this day is celebrated as a state holiday. Okay, on June 19th. They got real creative with their name. June 19th, they created Juneteenth. Okay, so Juneteenth, Emancipation Day, when the slaves in Texas found out that they were free. Not the slaves in the United States, the slaves in Texas. Okay, next we have the Freedmen's Bureau, which was everywhere. Okay, this was in Texas and in the United States. But this was an organization their whole goal was to help freedmen. Okay, they wanted to help them find food, find clothing, find education, find jobs. Okay, it was really hard for a freedman, for a freed slave to find a job. Okay, and so the Freedmen's Bureau, their whole purpose, their whole goal was to help freedmen, to help freed slaves. Okay, a lot of people in the South, especially, were not huge fans of the Freedmen's Bureau, which we're going to see when we talk about the KKK. Okay, remember the KKK is the Ku Klux Klan. It was a secret organization of white men. They created the Ku Klux Klan basically as a threat towards freed slaves. Okay, the whole point of the KKK was to put fear in freed slaves. Okay, they targeted the freedmen, so the newly freed slaves. They targeted bureau workers, so people who worked in the Freedmen's Bureau. But they also targeted supporters of the Reconstructional laws. Okay, so all the laws that were coming about in Reconstruction, the KKK targeted supporters of those. The KKK was in Texas. It was in the United States, but it was in Texas. And most of the violence, most of where they resided, was kind of in the east part of Texas, especially the northeast corner, kind of up by Arkansas. That's where a lot of the violence happened with the KKK. All right, but they targeted freedmen, bureau workers, and supporters of Reconstructional laws. We have the Black Codes. These were just laws that prevented freed slaves from exercising any of their rights that they had. Okay, they were free now, so they're free, and so they have rights, and the Black Codes kind of prevented those rights from coming about. Okay, the things that really were prevented or stopped, that weren't allowed for African Americans to practice or to exercise or to the right that they were given, was the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendments, which we'll talk about those in a second. But the Black Codes also prevented African Americans from voting, from serving on juries, from testifying in court. Okay, these are all things that people have as rights, but the Black Codes, they prevented any of those rights happening for African Americans. Okay, and this scared a lot of freed men because they have legal rights. I mean, these are legal rights that everyone has, and they were not given those rights, and so it scared a lot of them, and gave them a lot of fear. The next thing, which is only in Texas, is the Constitution of 1866. Remember, Texas has like a bajillion edits of their Constitution. We have so many different versions of the Texas Constitution. This is one of them. It's the Constitution of 1866, and it's pretty similar to the Black Codes, where basically the rights that freedmen have, they don't really have anymore. It gave them a couple rights, but not as many as they should have, that they were allowed to have. So remember, it's only in Texas. It did not accept the 13th, the 14th, and 15th Amendments. Okay, remember the 13th Amendment gave African Americans, the 13th Amendment freed slaves. Okay, it freed slaves in America. Okay, not just Texas. Remember, these amendments are in the United States. I know it gets confusing. Okay, this Constitution only in Texas. These three amendments, all of the United States. Okay, so we have the 13th Amendment, freed slaves. 14th Amendment it gave citizenship to African Americans, the freed slaves. Okay, and then the 15th Amendment gave voting rights to all men. Okay, so we have slavery, citizenship, voting. Remember our acronym? Sick, cats, vomit. Okay, I know it's nasty, but we remember sick, cats, vomit. Slavery, citizenship, voting. Okay, so this Constitution did not accept these three amendments. Okay, so the rights that African Americans had, they didn't have them in this Constitution because this Constitution did not accept these three amendments. The Constitution did give freedmen the right to own property and enter into a contract, which is called sharecropping, which we've talked about sharecropping before. It's where, you are growing crops and you get to keep a portion and you get some of the money made from it, but you're basically paying rent to live on someone's property to grow their crops, okay? But again, just like the Black Codes, freedmen did not have the right to vote. They couldn't hold office. They couldn't serve on juries. They couldn't testify in court against white people. Okay, it was a whole thing, all right? So this Constitution, very, 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 very limited rights for freedmen. The last Constitution is the Constitution of 1876. And the one thing that you need to remember from this is, well, one, legally, okay, African Americans are protected by their legal rights. Okay, so all the rights that they legally have, they have them now due to the Constitution of 1876. But the biggest thing we need to remember is this this bolded phrase right here. Okay, right in the middle of the page. It says, this is the Constitution that Texas is based on today. Okay, so this is the Constitution that if you look up the Texas Constitution, this is the one you're going to find. Okay, this version. This is the Constitution that Texas is based on today. Okay, for this next part, okay, we're still reviewing, but the next thing is going to be something that I need you to take a picture of. I need you to complete it, take a picture of it, and then put it on Echo. Okay, so I'm going to show you where you can find all of this. Okay, so this is my class. So if you go to my class and you scroll down, okay, here's our week at a glance. This is where you can see what we're doing this week. Right here under We Do, okay, it says PEGS Graphic Organizer. You can click on this and it'll take you to, it'll take you to this screen. Okay, you can, if you have a printer, you can print this page. You can highlight it all, copy and paste it into a new document, or you can make this table on your own. You can just use your own piece of paper and draw this table and add all this stuff in. But this is what we are going to be completing as we talk through the next thing. Okay, if for some reason you're like, oh, I can't find that link, you can scroll all the way down and there's a folder that says April 6th through 10th. Okay, and it's right here, PEGS Graphic Organizer. Okay, it's right here too. I don't know how to print from this page or copy and paste from this page, but I'm sure maybe you can do that. I don't know. Okay. But this is what we're going to be filling out next, okay? You can fill it out as we talk, or you can watch the video and then you can fill it out after. So hopefully you have some kind of note taker in front of you, some kind of graphic organizer, either one that you made, the one that I have that you printed out, or you copy and pasted the one that I made into your own document, and you can type into it, or you can print that out, whatever your heart so desires. But when we're talking about the effects of Reconstruction, remember we called this PEGS, for political, economic, geographical, and social. Okay, it spells PEGS. So the first is political. So the political things, this is the government. Okay, it has to do with the government. So we have the Constitution of 1876, which is today's Constitution. We just talked about that. We also have the Jim Crow laws and the Black Codes, both of which we just talked about. The freedmen, this was a right that they didn't have before, but now they do, is that freedmen can hold office, okay? They can run for city council, they can run for mayor, they can sit on a school board, okay? They can hold office, they can be in office. And then we also have the amendments to the Constitution, the United States Constitution, okay? We have the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendment. Remember, 13th was slavery, it freed slaves. 14th was citizenship, citizenship for all freed slaves. And then the 15th Amendment, voting rights for all men. Okay, so we have slavery, citizenship, voting, sick, cats, vomit. Economic is talking about money. So with money, we had a lot of farming going on. A lot of farming, okay? We had tenant farming. We also had sharecropping, both of which are just different forms of farming for money. The cattle industry also is going to be huge after Reconstruction. This is something that hopefully next week we're going to start talking about cotton, cattle, and railroads, but cattle was huge in Texas. Like, it was unreal how much cattle was in Texas and how the cattle industry was in Texas. But then, just like I said, we also have a growth of railroads, okay? With railroads and cattle are going to help each other, okay? And we're going to see how that happens in our next week. We'll see how that happens, okay? But we have the cattle industry booming and the growth of railroads. We have geographical, which is talking about the earth. What happened to basically the physical geography, what happened to like physical buildings, physical land, this is the earth, okay? These are real things. So we have people are going to be moving lots of places, okay? We have people moving everywhere. People are going to start moving west. This is moving west would be like towards California, Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona, okay? Oregon, they're all in there, okay? People are going to start moving west. Remember, most of the Civil War happened in the South, and most of the Civil War was battles. And so physically, there's a lot of destruction, okay? And people are finding that it would maybe just be easier. Some people are thinking it'd be easier just to move and start over. So we've got Southerners moving west. We've got freedmen also interested in moving west. There's a lot of opportunities west. There's not a lot of people in the west either, so we're moving west. Freedmen from the south are going to move to the north. Some northerners are actually going to move to the south. And then we have immigration to Texas. Okay, remember immigration, you're going to move into a new place. Okay, I for immigration, I for into. I'm going to move into a new place. Most of the time, immigration is associated with moving from one country to another. And remember, Texas is a part of the United States. So we are a part of a country. And people are going to immigrate from other countries into Texas. Okay? That's geographical. It's the earth. The last thing is social. This is people. Okay? So there's a big concern for the future of freedmen. While they do have some rights now, there's still some fear in the freedmen community, but there's also a lot of fear in the minority community, and even in the white community. Okay, so there's just this weird and kind of growing fear and concern for the future of freed men. Okay, how are they going to be involved in the community? Or what is the fear level going to be like? Okay, will fear subside? Will it stay? Will it grow? Okay, there's just this odd concern. There's this kind of unknown concern for the future of freed men. We talked about Juneteenth, the freeing of slaves in Texas. Remember, that is only in Texas. Juneteenth, only in Texas. The Freedmen's Bureau is created. We just talked about that. Its goal is to help freedmen. The black codes are used to segregate the South. Segregate is going to separate. Right now, we are talking about the 1870s. In about 90 years, it'll be the 1960s. And that's when segregation was really, was at its peak in the United States. Okay, that's when a lot of famous people that we know, when talking about African Americans, that's when their names start coming about, kind of in the 1950s, 1960s. But there is some segregation starting in the South around this time. We also have the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. And then again, I just said the increase of immigration to Texas. So if you were filling out that table, you can, first at the bottom, there is a sentence down there. It says Reconstruction was. Okay, I want you in your own words to describe what Reconstruction was. Okay, you know how I feel about complete sentences, so please make it a complete sentence. But when you are finished with that, you are going to you're going to take a picture of it, and then there's a spot for you to turn it in on Echo. Okay, so take a picture, turn it in on Echo, and then I will look at it. There is a journal. I'm just going to go ahead and show you on here. Mine will look a little different than yours because I have the teacher version of Echo. You have a student version of Echo. But if you go to my class, I just showed you this, how to find... I just showed you how to find the graphic organizer right here. The question that we're going to be answering is, how well do you think the United States reconstructed the country after the Civil War, and why? Okay, so you're going to go down here where it says April 6th through 10th, and this is where you can turn in that graphic organizer. But I'm going to click on the Reconstruction Journal question, and this is where you can turn that journal question in, okay? It's a journal, so you just type it on here. But this is where you're going to answer this question. So you're either answering with, I think the U.S. did a good job reconstructing America because blah, blah, blah. Or I don't think the U.S. did a good job of reconstructing America because blah, blah, blah. Okay? Yes, you do have to write a complete sentence. You know how I feel about this. You don't even have to ask me. Yes, I love complete sentences, so please write in a complete sentence. That is it for me today. Once you've done that, you are done for my class. So just get that done. I would love both of these things to be done by Friday. Again, everything you need is on this page right here. Okay? If there's something in there that should be there that's not, let me know and I can add it. But I think everything here is what you need. So I hope that you remember some of the stuff that we just went over today. I hope that this really was a review for you and you remember some of that stuff. If you didn't, then there you go, you learned it again. But please be sure to do that graphic organizer and the journal. I am grading during this time. But it's not a true grade. It's for you to know, if I was grading this, what would you get? Okay, but this is not a grade. But there will be a grade, but it is not a real grade. Okay, I'm grading. This is for me to give you some feedback on, if we were at school and we did this assignment, okay, what would you get? Okay, what would the effort be? What would your grade be if we did this assignment at school? Okay, so that is it. Once you finish that, you are done with my class for the week. I look forward to seeing your graphic organizers and seeing your journal entries. If you have questions, please bring them to office hours. I have office hours Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Okay, they're from 9 to 10 and then 1 to 2. You do not have to stay the full hour. You can come say hi. You can join us and ask a question, or you don't have to show up at all. But if you have a question, you can join us, say hi, ask your question, and then you can leave. Okay, you don't have to stay the full hour. I will be there probably reading through journal entries or working on things for y'all to do next week. But that is all I have for this week. I hope that y'all are doing well, you're staying safe, and you are staying out of trouble. See y'all later.